Dealerships are hiding a massive secret about the Mazda brand. While everyone praises Japanese reliability, salesmen push buyers into financial traps disguised as sleek crossovers. You are being manipulated. Mazda built some of the greatest vehicles on Earth, but they also manufactured 3 specific sport utility vehicles that will destroy your bank account. You must learn to separate the mechanical masterpieces from the ticking time bombs. Today, we expose the 3 worst Mazda SUVs you must avoid and the 4 brilliant models you should buy instead. Number 1 is legendary. Let us find your perfect vehicle. Worst. 3. The Mazda Tribute 2001 to 2006. When buyers want vintage Japanese reliability, they look at older models. But what happens when you purchase a Japanese vehicle that hides terrible domestic engineering beneath its sheet metal? Our first disaster is a complete mechanical lie. During the early 2000s, Mazda formed a close corporate partnership with the Ford Motor Company. Mazda needed a compact sport utility vehicle to compete in the growing market. Instead of spending money to design their own vehicle from the ground up, they borrowed a platform from Ford. The first-generation Mazda Tribute is nothing more than a Ford Escape wearing a different front grille. You are not buying Japanese engineering, you are buying a cheap American fleet vehicle prone to catastrophic failures. The first major flaw lies in the CD4E automatic transmission. Ford designed this transmission for lightweight passenger cars, but they bolted it into a heavy sport utility vehicle. The internal forward clutch cylinder cracks under the weight of the vehicle. The transmission bands burn up. You will be driving on the highway and the vehicle will suddenly slip into neutral. You will lose all forward gears. Rebuilding this weak transmission is a heavy expense, and the replacement parts possess the exact same design flaws. The second issue is a severe safety hazard. The front passenger side shock tower rusts completely through. Ford and Mazda failed to design proper water drainage inside the front wheel wells. Water and road salt become trapped behind the plastic fender liners. The rust eats the metal from the inside out. Eventually, the metal suspension mount fails. The front suspension strut will physically punch through the hood of the vehicle while you are driving. This causes a total loss of steering control. You must open the hood and inspect the metal towers. If you see bubbling paint or flaking metal, the vehicle is structurally totaled. Finally, the optional 3.0-liter Duratec Vi6 engine suffers from chronic oil leaks. The oil pan gasket degrades, covering the underside of the vehicle in thick sludge. Furthermore, the engine coil packs fail regularly. The rear bank of spark plugs sits directly underneath the hot intake manifold. The heat destroys the ignition coils. Replacing them requires removing the entire upper intake plenum. You will see these vehicles listed for $2,000. Leave them on the lot. Sharing parts with another brand is a known risk. But what happens when a manufacturer attempts to build a high-performance turbo engine before the technology is fully perfected? Prepare yourself for the loudest engine failure on the market. Worst 2, the Mazda CX-7, 2007 to 2012. In 2007, Mazda wanted to build a crossover that drove like a sports car. They designed the CX-7 with aggressive, sweeping body lines and a stiff suspension. To give it sports car performance, they took the turbocharged engine from the Mazda Speed 3 hatchback and dropped it into this heavy family crossover. This decision created a financial nightmare for thousands of owners. You must avoid any CX-7 equipped with the 2.3-liter DISI turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This power plant is a ticking time bomb. The primary failure point is the variable valve timing actuator. The system relies on a small metal lock pin to hold engine timing during cold starts. Due to a manufacturing defect, this metal pin shears off. When the pin breaks, the timing chain loses tension. The loose metal chain slaps against the inside of the aluminum valve cover. When you start the engine, it will sound like a diesel tractor rattling. If you ignore this noise, the chain stretches. Eventually, the chain jumps the gear teeth. The engine loses mechanical timing. The pistons travel upward and smash into the open cylinder valves. The engine destroys itself in milliseconds. Replacing the engine costs more than the vehicle is worth. The turbocharger is the second fatal flaw. The internal turbocharger seals degrade due to extreme heat and poor oil circulation. When the seals blow out, raw engine oil dumps directly into the hot exhaust system. The vehicle will leave a massive cloud of thick white smoke trailing behind it. You will fail emissions testing, and the vehicle will consume a quart of oil every few days. A replacement turbocharger requires a high labor cost. Finally, the high-pressure fuel pump fails. Because this is a direct injection engine, it relies on a mechanical fuel pump driven by the engine camshaft. The internal pump seals wear out. Gasoline leaks past the seals and drains directly into the engine crankcase. The gasoline dilutes the engine oil. The oil loses its viscosity and fails to lubricate the main engine bearings. This leads to rod knock and total engine failure. Dealerships try to sell these turbocharged traps for $4,000 to $7,000. Do not buy one. Are you tired of salesmen hiding the truth about these flawed vehicles? Hit that subscribe button right now. We expose the mechanical reality so you can protect your wallet. Let us move to the worst vehicle on this list. Engine rattles and turbo failures are terrible, but the absolute worst vehicle on our list features a design flaw so fatal it commits mechanical suicide while you're driving down the highway. Worst one, the first generation Mazda CX-9, 2008 to 2015. Mazda needed a 3-row family hauler for the American market. They built the first generation CX-9 on a stretched platform. The vehicle handled well and offered a spacious cabin. However, Mazda still relied on their partnership with Ford for the powertrain. They installed the Ford 3.7-liter Cyclone 5.6 engine. This engine contains a fatal engineering flaw that ruins lives. Ford and Mazda placed the engine water pump entirely inside the engine block. It sits behind the main timing cover. The engine timing chain drives the water pump gear. Water pumps are wear items. The rubber seal on every water pump eventually degrades. On a normal vehicle, a failing water pump leaks coolant onto the pavement. You see a puddle, you replace the pump, and you move on. On this specific 3.7-liter engine, when the internal seal fails, the coolant cannot escape to the outside. Instead, pressurized engine coolant dumps directly into the engine oil pan. The coolant mixes with the engine oil. It creates a thick, milky sludge. This mixture cannot lubricate metal components. The main crankshaft bearings overheat and score. The engine seizes completely. There is no warning light. You will be driving your family on the interstate, the temperature gauge will spike, and the engine will lock up. You will need a complete engine replacement. A new engine costs $7,000. If you somehow avoid the water pump failure, the all-wheel drive system will fail next. Mazda located the power transfer unit directly next to the hot exhaust pipe. They claimed the gear oil inside this unit was a lifetime fill. They lied. The extreme heat from the exhaust pipe cooks the gear oil. The oil turns into a solid black paste. The internal gears lose lubrication. When you make a tight turn in a parking lot, the vehicle will shudder. Eventually, the metal casing cracks open, dumping gear chunks onto the road. You lose all-wheel drive. These heavy family haulers sell for $5,000 to $9,000. They are priced low because the entire used car market knows the engine will explode. Walk away. Now that we have exposed the financial traps, we can shift to the vehicles that will actually protect your wallet. If you want maximum reliability but have a tiny parking space and a strict budget, our first recommendation is an unstoppable urban warrior. Best for the Mazda CX-3, 2016 to 2019. Buyers living in crowded cities need a vehicle that sits high enough to handle potholes but remains narrow enough to squeeze into parallel parking spots. They usually buy a cheap domestic compact that breaks down constantly. Mazda offers a brilliant alternative. The CX-3 is a subcompact crossover. It shares its underlying chassis with the tiny Mazda 2 hatchback. This means it is light, nimble, and incredibly simple to maintain. Under the hood lies the 2.0-liter Skyactiv 4-cylinder engine. Mazda engineered this engine to maximize fuel efficiency without using a fragile turbocharger. It utilizes a high compression ratio of 13:1. This allows the engine to extract maximum energy from regular unleaded gasoline. You will see 34 miles per gallon on the highway. Because the engine block is cast aluminum with heavy-duty iron cylinder liners, it operates for decades without internal wear. Mazda paired this engine with a traditional 6-speed automatic transmission. While Honda and Subaru force buyers to accept sluggish, continuously variable transmissions that fail early, Mazda kept traditional gears. The transmission shifts crisp and holds gears on steep hills. The suspension is basic. Mazda used a simple torsion beam setup for the rear axle. It lacks the complex multi-link components found on luxury cars. This means there are fewer rubber bushings to tear and fewer ball joints to replace. The ride is firm, but the reliability is stellar. The only drawback to the CX-3 is the interior space. The back seats are cramped. Legroom is tight for tall adults. The rear cargo area holds only a few bags of groceries. However, if you are a single commuter or a couple without children, this vehicle is the ultimate budget shield. Before you buy, inspect the air conditioning system. The condenser on early models is prone to failure from rock strikes. Check that the air blows cold during your test drive. Replacing the condenser is a low-cost repair. You can find these reliable urban warriors for $10,000 to $15,000. A tiny crossover is great for the city, but growing families demand 3 rows of seating. The previous generation CX-9 was a complete disaster, but the engineers returned to the drawing board and created a redemption story that rivals luxury European brands. Best 3, the second generation Mazda CX-9, 2022 to 2023. Mazda learned a hard lesson from the internal water pump failures of the past. When they designed the second generation CX-9, they severed their ties with Ford. They engineered their own powertrain from scratch. They dropped the anti-heavy V6 engine and introduced the 2.5-liter turbocharged Skyactiv 4-cylinder engine. You must target the final 2 years of production. Hunt specifically for the 2022 and 2023 model years. You must avoid the 2016 to 2020 models. Those early production years suffered from a casting defect. Small cracks formed in the cylinder head near the exhaust manifold. Coolant leaked from these cracks, leading to engine overheating. Mazda completely fixed this casting issue for the 2022 model model year. The final years represent the most perfected version of this platform. The 2.5-liter turbocharged engine produces 320 pound-feet of torque. This massive low-end torque simulates the pulling power of a V8 engine. You can merge onto the highway with a full load of passengers without the engine straining. The interior of this specific generation is stunning. Mazda targeted the luxury segment. You will find real wood trim, Nappa leather seating, and aluminum accents. The cabin features thick acoustic glass and heavy sound, deadening. It rides quieter than a premium German SUV. The third row of seating folds flat, providing a massive cargo floor. Families can transport lumber, sports equipment, and luggage with ease. During your inspection, verify the infotainment screen. Turn the dial on the center console and ensure the screen reacts quickly. The system is reliable, but a lagging screen requires a software update from the dealership. You can purchase these luxury family haulers for $25,000 to $30,000. They offer the same refinement as a luxury brand for half the price. Finding a reliable family hauler is a huge win, but what if you want a modern lifted hatchback that offers an interior so quiet and refined it makes a luxury European car look cheap? Our runner-up is the ultimate premium bargain. Best 2, the Mazda CX-30 2020 to present. Mazda discontinued the tiny CX-3 because buyers demanded slightly more cargo space. They replaced it with the CX-30. This vehicle bridges the gap between a compact hatchback and a full sport utility vehicle. It sits on the same brilliant platform as the Mazda 3 sedan. The exterior features thick black plastic cladding over the wheel wells and lower doors. This protects the painted metal from shopping cart dings and kicked up gravel. Under the hood, you will find the proven 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. This is the sweet spot for Mazda reliability. It lacks a turbocharger, meaning there is less heat and lower maintenance costs. It produces 186 horsepower, which is plenty of power for a vehicle of this size. Mazda made all-wheel drive standard across all trim levels in later years. The system is predictive. It monitors wiper usage, outside temperature, and steering angle to send power to the rear wheels before you slide on wet pavement. The interior is a masterclass in minimalist design. Mazda refused to follow the trend of slapping a massive, distracting touchscreen onto the dashboard. Instead, they provided physical, tactile buttons for the climate control. You can adjust the air conditioning and seat heaters without taking your eyes off the road. The main display screen sits deep against the windshield, keeping your line of sight high. Like many modern cars, the complex electronics draw a small amount of current when the vehicle sits parked. If the car sits for 2 weeks, the battery may drain. Install a high-capacity absorbent glass mat battery to solve this minor flaw. You can buy a slightly used CX-30 for $18,000 to $22,000. It is the smartest purchase for a daily commuter. Are you ready to see the vehicle that single-handedly defeated the giants of the auto industry? Make sure you click that like button to support honest automotive advice. We have reached the summit. When consumers blindly flock to the Toyota RAV4, they are completely ignoring a crossover that beats it in driving dynamics, interior quality, and long-term durability. This is the undisputed champion of the modern Mazda lineup. Best 1, the Mazda CX-5 2018 to 2025. This is the exact vehicle that single-handedly saved the Mazda brand from financial ruin. It is their undisputed best-selling model globally, and for excellent reason. When consumers blindly flock to the Toyota RAV4 or the Honda CR-V, they ignore a crossover that beats the competition in driving dynamics, interior quality, and long-term durability. The CX-5 proves once and for all that practical family transportation does not have to be a boring, soul-crushing experience. You must target the 2018 to 2025 model years. You must avoid the 2014 and 2016 models. Those early production years suffered from annoying electrical glitches. The dashboard infotainment screens froze due to summer cabin heat, causing the digitizer layer to separate from the display glass. The vehicles also consumed rear brake pads rapidly due to early electronic parking brake design flaws. By 2018, Mazda engineers listened to the consumer complaints and perfected the formula. The beating core of this champion is the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated Skyactiv 4-cylinder engine. In a modern era where other manufacturers rely on fragile, heat-soaked turbochargers to make power, Mazda kept it beautiful and simple. You do not have to worry about replacing expensive turbo units or fighting massive oil consumption. It pairs with their bulletproof 6-speed automatic transmission, while companies like Honda and Subaru force you to drive miserable, continuously variable transmissions that feel like slipping rubber bands. Mazda uses traditional, heavy-duty planetary gears. Mechanics across the country praise this specific drivetrain because it simply refuses to brake. The driving dynamics are superior to every single competitor in its class. Take a Toyota RAV4 on a winding back road, and it feels floaty and disconnected over bumps. Take the CX-5 on that exact same road, and it feels planted and secure. Mazda utilizes a fully independent multi-link rear suspension setup. This brilliant geometry allows the rear tires to maintain perfect, flat contact with the pavement during aggressive cornering. The steering rack is heavy and communicative. You feel the texture of the road directly through the steering wheel. Mazda even utilizes a system called G-vectoring control control. This computer setup reduces engine torque by a fraction of a second when you turn the wheel, shifting the vehicle weight to the front tires for massive grip. The interior quality rivals expensive European luxury cars. You are surrounded by soft-touch materials, premium stitching, and thick acoustic glass that blocks out loud highway wind noise. The safety ratings are flawless. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety continually awards this specific vehicle top honors year after year. The chassis utilizes ultra-high tensile steel to protect your family during severe, high-speed impacts. Side curtain airbags and reinforced door beams ensure your passengers walk away from an accident unharmed. Routine maintenance is cheap. Basic oil changes and regular brake fluid flushes are the only strict requirements to keep this vehicle safely on the road. The engine requires zero expensive rubber timing belt replacements because it utilizes a heavy lifetime steel chain. During your pre-purchase inspection, you must check the power folding mirrors. On some models, heavy rainwater intrudes into the plastic mirror housing and rusts the small internal electric motor. Press the fold button located on the driver's side door panel. If one mirror refuses to fold inward, the motor is dead. Replacing the mirror actuator is a cheap, simple repair you can do in your own driveway. You can secure a pristine, well-maintained CX-5 for $15,000 to $25,000, depending on the year and mileage. It is the absolute best used crossover on the entire market. Now that you have seen the pinnacle of Japanese crossover engineering, you possess a massive advantage over the average consumer. But mastering the budget car market is only the beginning. What happens when you decide to upgrade to a European luxury brand? The repair bills multiply. You now possess the exact knowledge required to navigate a Mazda dealership. You understand that early collaborations with other brands produced ticking time bombs. You know the exact years the engines dumped coolant into the oil, and the exact years the timing chain slapped the valve covers. More importantly, you know exactly which modern Skyactiv models offer luxury interiors, standard all-wheel drive, and engines that cross 300,000 miles with zero stress. Stop following the crowd. Stop paying a massive premium for a boring appliance. Demand a crossover that handles sharp corners, protects your family, and respects your bank account. If this breakdown helped you find your next vehicle, let us know which Mazda you want to park in your driveway in the comments below. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button to join our community. There is another video popping up on your screen right now exposing the worst European SUVs that will bankrupt you. Click the next video and I will see you over there. Drive smart, avoid the dealership traps, and keep your hard-earned cash.